I will never forget the day I found that note on our kitchen counter. The paper trembled in my hands. As I read those words, I never wanted to be a mom. My heart sank into my stomach. Just that morning, Amanda had kissed the kids goodbye, smiled at me like any other day. Now she was gone. I frantically called neighbors, finally finding Daniel and Sophia at Maria's house next door. They were playing, laughing, completely unaware their mother would never come home again. Before I tell you how my life fell apart, and what happened when my ex tried to come back 12 years later, hit that like button and let me know in the comments where you are watching from. This story changed my entire life. I met Amanda during my junior year at University of Texas. She was this vibrant marketing major, with big dreams of climbing the corporate ladder in New York. I was the architectural design student who somehow caught her eye at a campus coffee shop. We dated for 3 years before getting married in a small ceremony, with just our closest friends and family. From the beginning, Amanda was clear about her career ambitions. She wanted to be a marketing executive, travel the world, and build her personal brand. Children were never part of her initial plan. I always wanted to be a father, but I respected her goals and figured we had time to figure things out. 5 years into our marriage, after she secured a position at a prestigious marketing firm, Amanda surprisingly changed her mind about kids. Looking back, I should have questioned this sudden shift, but I was too excited about starting our family. 9 months later, our son Daniel was born. 2 years after that, we welcomed Sophia. I thought we were happy. We owned a beautiful 4-bedroom home in the Austin suburbs. I was making good money as a project architect at a growing firm. Amanda continued her marketing career, seemingly balancing work and motherhood. We took family vacations to the coast, had weekend barbecues, and appeared to be living the American dream. The signs were there, but I refused to see them. Amanda started staying later at the office, often not coming home until after the kids were asleep. Her work trips increased from once every few months to nearly every other week. When she was home, she spent more time on her phone than with Daniel and Sophia. Once I glimpsed a text on her screen that simply read, "Miss you already." When I asked who it was from, she quickly said it was her sister. I believed her, because I wanted to believe her. Arguments about childcare became more frequent. "Why is it always my responsibility to find babysitters?" she would snap when work events came up. She started missing school performances and parent-teacher conferences, always with the excuse that she had to work. 6 months before she left, Amanda began a new fitness routine that had her at the gym most evenings. Her appearance changed. New wardrobe, different hairstyle, more makeup. I complimented the changes, desperate to reconnect with my increasingly distant wife. We tried date nights and even 3 sessions of marriage counseling, but she always seemed elsewhere mentally. The night before she left, I suggested a family vacation to Disney World. The kids were ecstatic. Amanda smiled and said, "That sounds nice." I fell asleep that night, believing we were turning a corner. The morning she disappeared started like any other. I made breakfast while Amanda got the kids ready for school. Unusually, she helped Daniel with his science project and braided Sophia's hair the special way she liked. She even packed their favorite snacks for lunch. I kissed her goodbye and headed to work, not knowing it would be the last time I would see her for years. Throughout the day, my texts went unanswered. I figured she was in meetings. When I pulled into our driveway that evening, the house was eerily quiet. No sound of cartoons playing in the living room or children arguing over toys. No dinner smells from the kitchen. The note was propped against the coffee maker, my name written in her familiar handwriting. "Javier, I cannot do this anymore. I never wanted to be a mom. I tried for 7 years to make it work, but this life is suffocating me. I have been seeing Jason from work for the past year. We are moving to Seattle to start fresh. I took my share of our savings. The kids are at Maria's house. Tell them whatever you want. Do not try to find me. Amanda." My hands shook so badly I dropped the note. I checked our joint account on my phone. 70% of our savings was gone. $17,000 vanished. I raced next door, where Maria, our neighbor and occasional babysitter, greeted me with confusion. Amanda said you had a family emergency and asked if the kids could stay for a few hours. Is everything okay? Daniel and Sophia ran to me, oblivious to how their lives had just imploded. I somehow managed to thank Maria, gather their backpacks and walk them home, my mind racing with how to tell a 7-year-old and 5-year-old that their mother had abandoned them. That first night was the longest of my life. I told the kids that Mommy had to go away for work for a while. I could not bear to tell them the truth yet. Daniel asked when she would call to say goodnight. Sophia cried because Amanda always read her bedtime story. I read to both of them, my voice breaking several times, until they finally fell asleep in my bed, one child curled on each side of me. I did not sleep at all. My phone showed dozens of unanswered calls and texts to Amanda. I finally reached my parents in Houston around 3 in the morning. My mother cried. My father, usually stoic, sounded shaken and immediately offered to drive up the next day. For 2 weeks, I maintained the mommy is away for work story while frantically trying to reach Amanda. Her company revealed she had resigned effective immediately. Her parents were just as shocked as I was, having received only a brief email saying she needed space and would contact them when ready. Through social media, I discovered she had indeed moved to Seattle, with Jason, her marketing director. There were already photos of them hiking, Mount Rainier smiling like two people without a care in the world. No mention of the family she had left behind. Daniel eventually stopped asking when Mommy would call. Sophia kept drawing pictures of our family. Always 4 figures, never 3. Each night she would ask, "Maybe Mommy will come home tomorrow." I never knew what to say. The practical challenges hit immediately. With most of our savings gone and a mortgage payment due, I needed to reorganize our entire lives. I had to find affordable childcare, learn to cook more than the few dishes in my repertoire, and figure out how to braid Sophia's hair for school. The first month I nearly lost my job. I was constantly late after morning drop-offs, took long lunch breaks to handle school issues, and often had to leave early when one of the kids got sick. My boss, Pete, was understanding at first but warned me that deadlines were still deadlines. We went through 4 babysitters in 3 months. None could handle our unpredictable schedule or the emotional needs of 2 children processing abandonment. The child care costs were crushing me financially. 6 months in, I made the difficult decision to sell our home. The memories there were too painful anyway. We moved to a 3-bedroom apartment closer to my office and the children's new school. The downsize felt like another failure, but it was necessary for survival. I learned to stretch dollars further than I thought possible. Grocery shopping became a strategic mission. I discovered the wonders of crock-pot cooking and weekend meal prep. YouTube tutorials taught me how to properly wash delicate clothes and remove stains from school uniforms. I became an expert at stretching leftovers into new meals that the kids would actually eat. Every night after putting Daniel and Sophia to bed, I would collapse on the couch, physically and emotionally exhausted, only to get up and prepare for the next day's battle. With money borrowed from my parents, I hired Lucille Thompson, a family attorney who specialized in abandonment cases. She was direct but compassionate, walking me through the divorce and custody process with realistic expectations. Filing for divorce will be straightforward, she explained. Getting full custody should not be difficult given the circumstances. Child support may be more challenging if Amanda chooses not to cooperate. The legal paperwork was filed, and Amanda was served in Seattle. To my surprise, she responded through her own attorney, contesting full custody and requesting scheduled visitation rights without overnight stays. She offered no child support, claiming her new job did not provide sufficient income. During discovery, we learned that her affair with Jason had been ongoing for over 2 years, since Sophia was 3. There were hotel receipts, flight records, and text messages documenting their relationship while she was still playing the role of devoted wife and mother. The judge, a stern woman in her 60s, did not hide her displeasure at the situation. "Mrs. Morales, you abandoned your children without notice and took marital assets. Now, you want visitation on your terms." Her tone made it clear where her sympathies lay. The court awarded me full legal and physical custody. Amanda received limited visitation rights that required supervised visits for the first 6 months. She was ordered to pay $1,500 monthly in child support. She never showed up for a single visitation. The child support checks never came. After 6 months of pursuing enforcement, I decided to focus my energy on rebuilding our lives rather than chasing someone who clearly wanted no part of us. Creating new family traditions became my way of helping the kids heal. We established Friday pizza and movie night, where Daniel and Sophia would take turns choosing the film. Saturday mornings became pancake art challenge time, with each of us trying to create the most creative pancake shapes. I signed Daniel up for Little League Baseball, attending every game and practice. Though I had never played myself, I learned enough to practice with him in our apartment complex's small green space. Sophia wanted to try ballet, so Tuesday evenings were dedicated to dance class, where I was usually the only father among mothers in the waiting area. The first round of parent-teacher conferences without Amanda was intimidating. I arrived with a notebook full of questions, determined to be both mother and father. Their teachers were incredibly supportive, offering resources for single parents and praising the children's resilience. I connected with other single parents at school and baseball practices. Mark, a widower with twin boys, became a close friend who offered practical advice and occasional childcare swaps. Gabriella, a single mom from Daniel's class, taught me clever household management tips that saved precious time and energy. At work, I slowly regained my footing. Pete recognized my determination and actually promoted me to senior project manager, which came with more flexibility and better pay. My colleagues pitched in during school holidays, sometimes letting the kids hang out in the conference room when babysitters fell through. The children and I were slowly building something new. Not the family I had envisioned, but one with its own strength and beauty. I knew I needed to become a better parent, so I enrolled in parenting classes at our community center. I learned about age-appropriate expectations, emotional regulation techniques, and how to talk to children about difficult topics like abandonment. The instructor, a family therapist named Eleanor, became a valuable resource when challenges arose. Honesty became our family policy. When Daniel asked why his mother never called, I stopped making excuses and said, "Your mom is having a hard time right now and is not able to be the parent you deserve. That is not your fault. I am here, and I am not going anywhere." My parents visited monthly, providing grandparent love and allowing me occasional breaks. We set up weekly video calls so the kids maintained that connection even from a distance. My father taught Daniel about tools and fixing things around the apartment. My mother showed Sophia how to bake family recipes that had been passed down for generations. Daniel became my little partner, taking on responsibilities like a boy, much older than his years. He helped with dishes without being asked, and checked that doors were locked before bedtime. At 8 years old, he told me, "Dad, I am the man of the house too now." Sophia processed her feelings through art. Her drawings evolved from our family of 4 to increasingly detailed pictures of my family. Just the 3 of us, always smiling, often with a bright sun overhead. Her kindergarten teacher noted her emotional intelligence and ability to comfort other children having bad days. We joined a support group specifically for families affected by parental abandonment. Hearing other stories helped us all realize we were not alone. The children bonded with kids in similar situations, forming friendships based on deep understanding. My architectural skills came in handy when I started a small side business creating custom home design consultations on weekends. This extra income allowed us small luxuries like occasional trips to the water park or new school clothes that were not from thrift shops. To teach financial responsibility, we created a 3-jar system for the kids, one for spending, one for saving, and one for giving. Even their small allowances for chores went into these jars, teaching them the value of planning for the future. 5 years flew by in our new reality. Daniel was now 12, entering middle school with confidence and strong grades. Sophia, 10, had blossomed into a talented artist and compassionate friend to everyone she met. I had been promoted twice more at work now, serving as a senior architect with my own team and projects. My side business had grown enough to require its own business checking account. We had moved to a larger apartment in a neighborhood with excellent schools and parks within walking distance. Life had a comfortable rhythm that none of us took for granted. Amanda made sporadic appearances in their lives through brief phone calls on birthdays or holidays. These calls became increasingly awkward, as the children had few memories of her and little to say. Daniel would be polite but distant. Sophia would chatter about school but never asked when she might see her mother. I never spoke badly of Amanda to the kids, but I never pretended her behavior was normal or acceptable either. I dated occasionally when friends set me up, or I met someone interesting at work functions. Nothing serious developed, partly because I was cautious about bringing someone new into our delicate family balance, and partly because my standards had risen significantly. The children always came first, which limited my dating pool considerably. We had created a life that worked, not perfect, but stable, loving, and forward-moving. The wound of abandonment had scarred over, no longer raw, but still part of our shared history. As the children entered their teen years, their entrepreneurial sides emerged in ways that amazed me. Daniel, at 14, started a lawn care service in our neighborhood, beginning with 3 clients and expanding to 15 houses by the following summer. He saved half of every dollar earned. Sophia, 12 at the time, revealed a talent for making beaded jewelry that her friends coveted. With my help setting up an online store through a crafting marketplace, she began selling her creations beyond just her school friends. She reinvested most of her earnings into better materials. Our kitchen wall featured a large dream board, where we pinned images of goals we were working toward. The centerpiece was a picture of a 2-story house with a yard, our shared dream of homeownership again. The children insisted on contributing to this goal, with each dedicating 20% of their earnings to what we called the Future Fund. During Sunday family meetings at our kitchen table, we would review finances, discuss upcoming events, and adjust our shared goals. I taught them basic investing concepts, helping them understand how money could grow over time. We opened custodial investment accounts with their earned income watching together as their savings increased. Daniel showed interest in architecture like me, often sitting beside me as I worked on side projects, asking thoughtful questions about design principles and structural requirements. Sophia combined creative vision with practical business thinking, tracking her inventory and costs with surprising precision for someone her age. Our neighbors often commented on what a unique family we were, not just surviving our circumstances, but thriving despite them. The kids and I were recognized throughout the community as hard workers with integrity, which led to more opportunities for all of us. 7 years passed. Daniel was now 19 and attending the University of Texas on a combined academic and community service scholarship, studying architectural engineering. Sophia, 17, was a high school senior, running a successful online jewelry business that paid for her car insurance and would help with her upcoming college expenses. My career had exceeded all expectations. I had become a partner at one of Austin's most prestigious architectural firms, leading sustainable design initiatives that were gaining national attention. The financial struggles of our early years had long since faded. Our Sunday family meetings continued even with Daniel home from college only occasionally. We would video call him, in maintaining our tradition of financial transparency and goal setting. The Future Fund had grown substantially, though its purpose had evolved. With both kids heading to college, I assumed we would use it for their education expenses. Catherine entered my life 3 years earlier, a 4th-grade teacher with a calm presence and genuine connection with both my children. Unlike previous relationships, this one deepened naturally, with Catherine understanding the unique bond the 3 of us shared. She never tried to replace Amanda, but created her own role in our family. I started noticing secretive behavior from both kids: whispered phone calls, meetings they would not explain, mysterious smiles when certain topics arose. With teenagers, some secrets are expected, but this felt different. Catherine seemed to know something too, but would just smile when I questioned her. "Trust the process, Javier," she would say. "Good things are happening." On my 42nd birthday, the kids insisted on blindfolding me for a surprise. Dad, no peeking, Sophia giggled from the back seat as Catherine drove. This has been years in the making. After about 20 minutes, the car stopped. Daniel helped me out, keeping the blindfold secure. Okay, just a few more steps. Watch the curb. When they removed the blindfold, I stood before a beautiful 2-story craftsman home with a wide front porch in Lakewood, my favorite neighborhood in Austin. The landscaping was immaculate, with native plants and mature oak trees providing perfect shade. "Happy birthday," they shouted in unison, as Daniel pressed a key into my palm. "What is this?" I asked, confused. "Whose house are we visiting?" Sophia's eyes filled with tears of joy. "It is not a visit, Dad. It is yours. Well, ours." Daniel explained how they had been saving and investing since they were children. "Remember that future fund? This is what it was always for. We bought this house for you, for us." Stunned, I followed them inside. The interior was even more impressive. Open concept, living spaces, a chef's kitchen, and an office perfect for my side business. Everything matched my architectural preferences exactly. "How is this possible?" I whispered, overwhelmed by emotion. Daniel revealed he had been working secretly with my firm's residential team for over a year, designing the renovations himself as part of an independent study. His professors approved. Sophia had selected the interior finishes and furnishings, applying her artistic eye to every detail. Catherine admitted her role in keeping the secret, helping with paperwork and logistics, while I remained oblivious. The three of them had coordinated this massive undertaking while I focused on work and daily life. As neighbors stopped by to welcome us, apparently everyone knew about this surprise but me. I was overwhelmed by the realization of what my children had accomplished. The abandoned family had not just survived, but had built something extraordinary together. 3 days after moving into our new home, while unpacking in the kitchen, the doorbell rang. Opening the door, I found myself face to face with Amanda, the first time I had seen her in person in 12 years. She looked older, her designer clothes, not quite hiding the effects of time and hard living. Her eyes widened as she took in the beautiful home behind me. "Javier," she said, as though we had spoken yesterday. "I heard about the new house. We need to talk." I invited her in, maintaining the civility I had modeled for the children all these years. She declined coffee, but sat at the kitchen island, looking around appreciatively at the custom cabinetry and marble countertops. "Jason left me last year," she announced without preamble, "for his 26-year-old assistant." Cliché, right? Her laugh sounded hollow. Before I could offer condolences, she continued, "I saw Daniel's post about the house on social media. It is gorgeous and expensive from the looks of it." Then came the real purpose of her visit. "As your legal wife, when the children were born and their mother, I am entitled to half of any family assets. That includes this house." The Amanda I remembered would have been embarrassed by such a claim. This woman stated it as though it were the most reasonable thing in the world. Daniel and Sophia chose that moment to return from grocery shopping. The bags they carried dropped to the floor as they recognized the stranger in their kitchen. Not really a stranger, but the woman whose blood they shared. Mom Daniel's deep voice cracked slightly on the word. Sophia said nothing, her artistic eyes taking in every detail of the woman who had left when she was too young to form solid memories. Amanda seemed genuinely startled by their presence, as though she had forgotten they existed as real people who would eventually come home. "Look how grown up you are," she said weakly. Daniel recovered first, extending his hand formally. "Nice to see you, Amanda." The deliberate use of her first name was not lost on anyone. Sophia, always more diplomatic, offered a brief, awkward hug before stepping back to stand beside her brother. Amanda's demeanor changed as she realized these were not the small children she had left. These were accomplished young adults who had helped purchase a house without her contribution. Her voice hardened as she turned back to me. "As I was saying, I will be contacting my lawyer about my entitlement to a portion of this property." She gestured broadly at our new home. To my surprise, it was Sophia who responded, her voice steady and mature beyond her 17 years. "This house was purchased with money Daniel and I earned and saved since we were children. Dad has all the documentation. You might want to reconsider that position." Amanda's face flushed. "You do not understand how the law works, sweetie. What belongs to the family. We understand exactly how the law works." Daniel interrupted his architectural training, evident in his precise tone. "We have records of every dollar that went into this house. None of it came from you." I placed a calming hand on both my children's shoulders. "Let us handle this civilly," I said. "Amanda, I suggest you leave now. Have your attorney contact mine, if you wish to pursue this." As she left, her parting shot revealed everything about her character. I could have had a career without the burden of motherhood. I deserve something for those lost years. The door closed behind her, leaving three of us in stunned silence. True to her word, a letter from Amanda's attorney arrived the following week, claiming entitlement to marital assets and demanding documentation of all property holdings. The letter mentioned the sacrifices Amanda had made during her years of motherhood and her legal rights as the biological mother. We held an emergency family meeting joined by Catherine, who had become our rock during difficult times. Daniel and Sophia immediately offered to use their remaining savings for legal defense. "Absolutely not," I insisted. "You two have done more than enough. This is my battle to fight." Catherine, always practical, suggested we gather every financial record from the past 12 years, every receipt, bank statement, and investment record that showed the children's earnings and contributions. "The paper trail is your best defense," she advised. We contacted Lucille Thompson, the same attorney who had handled our divorce years earlier. She remembered our case well and was outraged by Amanda's audacity. "Let me be clear," Lucille said, after reviewing our documents. "Your ex-wife abandoned her children, took marital assets, failed to pay, court-ordered child support, and now wants to claim ownership of property purchased by those same children she abandoned. The courts will not look kindly on this." We spent weeks preparing our defense, gathering 12 years' worth of financial records, employment history, and documentation of Amanda's absence. Daniel provided detailed spreadsheets showing every dollar invested from his lawn care business. Sophia had meticulous records of her jewelry sales and contributions to the house fund. Meanwhile, we learned Amanda had bounced between jobs after Jason left her, currently working as a social media manager for a small company in Houston, her Seattle dream apparently having faded. She had financial troubles that explained her sudden interest in our home. The emotional toll of her reappearance was significant, but instead of fracturing us, it somehow made our unusual family even stronger. Catherine stepped up, helping prepare meals when I was too stressed to cook, and sitting with Sophia when she had questions about the mother she barely remembered. The courtroom was intimidatingly formal, with its dark wood panels and imposing bench. Amanda sat with her attorney, wearing a conservative dress that contrasted with the flashy woman who had appeared at our door. She had clearly been coached to appear sympathetic. Her attorney presented her as a woman who had made an unfortunate mistake while suffering from undiagnosed postpartum depression. He painted a picture of a mother who regretted her actions every day and deserved to benefit from the family's current success. Amanda dabbed at her eyes with tissues, as her lawyer described her years of suffering away from her beloved children and her desire to reconnect with the family unit that had clearly prospered. When the judge asked about the 12 years of absence and lack of child support payments, her attorney claimed she had been financially unable to contribute, but had always maintained emotional connections through birthday calls. Against my wishes, but with the judge's permission, both Daniel and Sophia had requested to testify. I worried about putting them through this, but they were determined. Daniel, now a poised young man, took the stand first. He described building his business from the age of 14, showing the court a photo album of his first lawnmower, purchased from a garage sale, and the gradual expansion to professional equipment. "Every summer since 8th grade, I worked from sunrise to sunset," he explained. "I invested 70% of my earnings with the specific goal of one day buying our family a home. This was my choice. My money earned, through my labor, while my mother was absent." Sophia followed, presenting the court with a binder containing every jewelry, sale, expense, and profit margin since she was 12. She had printouts of her online store reviews, customer testimonials, and bank deposits. I learned business skills from my father, who worked 3 jobs at one point to keep us afloat. After our mother left, she testified, her voice never wavering. Every bead, every wire, every stone in my jewelry was purchased with money I earned and designed with skills. I taught myself through library books because we could not afford classes. Our attorney presented the court with a calculation of Amanda's unpaid child support, over $200,000 with interest, and documentation of the 70% of savings she had taken when leaving. The judge, a pragmatic woman in her 50s, directed pointed questions at Amanda Mrs. Morales. If you were suffering from postpartum depression, did you seek treatment before deciding to leave your family? Amanda admitted she had not. And in 12 years, how many times did you visit your children in person? Circumstances made that difficult. Amanda hedged. That is not what I asked. How many times? None, Your Honor. What percentage of the court-ordered child support have you paid to date? I had financial difficulties. 0% is the answer, the judge noted. And am I to understand correctly that you only reappeared when you learned of this valuable property acquisition? Amanda's attorney tried to object, but the judge silenced him with a raised hand. I was the last to testify, bringing 12 years of daily planners, showing every school event, doctor's appointment, and parenting milestone I had navigated alone. I spoke not with bitterness, but with simple facts. I have never spoken ill of Amanda to our children, I concluded. I always left the door open for her to be part of their lives in whatever way she could manage. This lawsuit is the first sustained interest she has shown in 12 years. The judge's ruling came after only a brief recess. She returned to the bench with a decisive air. This court finds the plaintiff's claims without merit and potentially frivolous, she began. Not only does the court deny any claim to the property in question, but it also orders the immediate payment of all back child support with statutory interest. She added penalties for the frivolous lawsuit and mandated that Amanda cover our legal fees. The total came to nearly $300,000. Amanda collapsed into tears at the decision. Her attorney looked unsurprised, as though he had warned her of this likely outcome. As we prepared to leave the courtroom, I made a decision that surprised even me. I approached Amanda and her attorney with an offer. I have no interest in financial retribution, I said quietly. If Amanda genuinely wants to know her children, as adults now making their own choices, I will not stand in the way. But it has to be on their terms, with respect for the people they have become without her. Daniel and Sophia, standing nearby, nodded in agreement. They had no desire to punish their mother, only to protect what they had built together. Amanda looked up, mascara streaking her cheeks. I have nothing now, she whispered. Jason took everything in the divorce. I am living in a studio apartment. Then perhaps it is time to start rebuilding, just like we had to do, I suggested. The money is not important to us. A relationship might be, if you are willing to earn it. The judge, overhearing this exchange, nodded approvingly and modified her order. Amanda would still need to acknowledge the debt, but payments would be minimal until her financial situation improved. 2 weeks later, Amanda joined us for dinner. A tense but civil affair where Catherine's warmth helped ease the awkwardness. The children asked polite questions about her life. She asked about their accomplishments, genuinely seeming to listen to their answers. It was a small beginning of a very different relationship than the one that had been lost. Life in our new home settled into a pleasant rhythm. Amanda began monthly visits with Daniel and Sophia, usually meeting them for lunch or coffee without my presence. These meetings were initially stiff, but gradually became more natural as she learned who her children had become. Catherine and I planned a small, intimate wedding in our backyard for the following spring. The children were thrilled, having long considered Catherine an essential part of our family unit. Daniel would be my best man, Sophia Catherine's maid of honor. As we sat on the back patio one evening watching the sunset, Daniel shared news that his university project, a design for affordable, sustainable housing, had won a national competition. Sophia announced she had been accepted to Rhode Island School of Design with a substantial scholarship. Catherine and I exchanged glances, silently acknowledging that our unusual family was thriving despite or perhaps because of the challenges we had faced. "I have been thinking," Daniel said hesitantly. "Part of Mom's back child support when she eventually pays it. What if we used that to start a foundation for single parents? Something to help with emergency child care or home down payments." Sophia immediately built on his idea. "We could offer business startup grants for single parents with entrepreneurial ideas, like Dad's side business that helped us survive." I was speechless at their generosity, their instinct to turn pain into purpose, hardship into help for others. When Amanda heard about the foundation idea during her next visit, she broke down in tears, not of self-pity this time, but of genuine remorse and gratitude for the chance at redemption. "I would like to volunteer my marketing skills," she offered quietly, "to help promote the foundation. It would not make up for anything, but it would be a start." The children exchanged looks before Daniel nodded. "We could use help with social media strategy." It was a small olive branch, but a meaningful one. Our backyard wedding was simple but perfect. Daniel stood tall beside me, having grown into a thoughtful young man any father would be proud of. Sophia, radiant in a blue dress she designed herself, stood by Catherine, the two having formed a bond that needed no biological connection to be real and lasting. To everyone's surprise, Amanda attended as a respectful guest, bringing a modest but thoughtful gift and keeping appropriate boundaries. She had been sober for 6 months, another positive change in her journey. During the reception, Daniel and Sophia asked for everyone's attention. They had prepared a speech that left few dry eyes in the gathering. "Most kids grow up with examples of what love should be," Daniel began. "We grew up learning what love does when tested. Our dad showed us that love stays. Love rebuilds. Love chooses the harder path when it would be easier to give up." Sophia continued. "Dad taught us that family is not just who you are related to, but who shows up every day, who braids your hair, even when his fingers are too big for the tiny elastic bands, who learns to cook your favorite meals, even after working 12-hour days." Together, they announced the official launch of the Second Chance Foundation, dedicated to helping single-parent families achieve stability and homeownership. The seed funding would come from a portion of Amanda's back payments, which she had agreed to direct there as a gesture of making amends. Amanda stood quietly at the back, tears streaming down her face, nodding in agreement with the announcement. It was perhaps the first truly maternal act of her life, supporting her children's vision rather than imposing her own. As Catherine and I shared our first dance as husband and wife, I watched my remarkable children, no longer children at all, moving confidently through the gathering, secure in who they were and what they had overcome. Later, during the father-daughter dance with Sophia, she whispered, "We made it, Dad. All those nights you thought you were failing, you were actually building something amazing." Looking back on the 12-year journey from that devastating note to today, I am struck not by what was lost, but by what was found. The abandonment that once seemed like the end of our world became the foundation for something stronger than I could have imagined. I learned that family is not defined by who stays, but by who chooses to show up every day. My children taught me that resilience is not about never falling, but about rising, every time life knocks you down. Together we discovered that wounds can become wisdom when you refuse to let pain define your future. The house that stands around us now represents more than property or investment. It symbolizes the power of commitment, the reward of patience, and the unexpected gifts that can emerge from our deepest losses. Every corner of this home was earned through tears, determination, and the unwavering belief that we deserved better than what fate initially handed us. As I look at Catherine now, my wife, at Daniel and Sophia, now adults, charting their own impressive paths, and even at Amanda, now slowly earning a different kind of relationship with her children, I realize that our story was never about abandonment. It was always about finding our way home. A home built not of wood and stone, but of choice, forgiveness, and love that stayed when it would have been easier to run. What painful moment in your life eventually led to unexpected blessings? Has someone's rejection ever opened doors to something better? Share your story in the comments below, and do not forget to like and subscribe if this journey resonated with you. Remember, sometimes what feels like an ending is just the first chapter of a much better story. Thank you for listening, and may you find strength in your own challenging chapters.